Thanks for the coffee, truly. Yeah, it's early. But I'm somewhere new today. Well, not completely new. I was here once before. I'll give you a hint. Next to me is a huge industrial, seems like a processing building that makes a lot of noise and is super bright. It's a county shelter. Any guess? Any guesses based on that? I'm speaking as an individual in my own individual capacity. And today I want to talk to you about, well, costs, amongst other things. Good morning. And yeah, I know it's early, but let's do that right off the bat. Costs. Like, I have a cat. Not only does it cost for food and vets and all that stuff, but every morning he makes me pay by waking me up. But for that cost, I get one of the best things that ever literally walked into my life. He makes me so happy. Volunteering has a cost. Partying has a cost. Fentanyl has a cost. And again, I'm not just talking about finances. I'm talking about everything. I drove here early. That has a cost. Less sleep, but everything that has a cost also has a benefit. Instead of taking an hour or 45 minutes, it took me like 27 minutes or something like that. Hello, Jersey girl. Says you want to come into my video for some reason. Or Jers girl. Another friend sent me a video yesterday that was about 24 hours, that we don't all have the same 24 hours. And she wanted to talk to me about how it's applicable to dogs or volunteerism. And so my brain's been working on that overnight, even before the conversation I'm planning to have with her. I get to volunteer. I don't get to volunteer. I have the ability to volunteer as much as I do because of the career I chose, because of the way I have spent my the money or income I have made, some of the choices I've made, because of the small apartment I live in, because I've been in the same place for a while, so I have rent control or rent stabilization, because I have a car that I didn't overspend on, and so that was a cost, right? But the cost is that I don't drive around in the fanciest car, and I don't live in the biggest home, and I don't live beyond my means, but I get the time to do more of what I want. Now, will that be forever? I don't know. Inflation is killing me, like it's killing you. Work is slowed down, so maybe I'm gonna have to change how I do things in the future. I don't know, but everything has a cost. I have this conversation with new volunteers sometimes when they consider fostering a dog, which is amazing. I consider fostering animals. If you're out there, please do. But they don't realize the total cost of fostering is that when they foster a dog from a shelter, yes, they save that animal, which is amazing. But then they're not able to volunteer as much because they have to walk the dog 2 times a day, or they have to spend more time introducing the dog with other dogs, with their home dog or whatever. And I'm not discouraging fostering at all. I'm just saying everything has a cost. Everything. You like the taste of sweets? Well, unfortunately, not only does it cost you money to buy, but it also takes a toll on your body sometimes. We hear all the time the sensibility of people who can't volunteer at a shelter because it's too hard on them. And a lot of us who do this get a little, I've heard from people who do this volunteering that it feels a little insensitive, assuming that we don't feel things ourselves. But I understand what people say when they say, I couldn't do it, I can't go to a shelter, because not everyone can be a police officer, not everyone can be an EMT, not everyone can be a school teacher, I could never be a defense attorney. I could never represent someone I thought or knew was guilty. You couldn't pay me enough to do that, but somebody can. There's a cost to speaking up. There have been many volunteers over the time I've been doing this that have been terminated or suspended or harassed or bullied for speaking up. I'm down here at the shelter today to meet some new dogs. I was asked by a staff member down here if I could help out. So there's a cost to my time, my economics of driving down here, my cost to my thoughts and all that. But and they asked me because they see what I'm doing at other shelters and they want to encourage that here, I suppose. There's a cost of fundraising, if you can believe that or not. I'm also here today because they're apparently, and I'll get into this more later on another video, but apparently they're in need of Kuranda beds. Those shelter beds, those cots that are, supposedly indestructible or whatever, however they market it. They're not. They're great, but when you put an animal in a kennel and they get stressed and that's the only thing they have, sometimes they take it out on the cot. You would too. It was great that I've been able to raise funds for other shelters for beds for years, but that opens the door that other people ask, can you help us? Which you can always say no. I could say no. I could have said no, but I don't want to because I don't want to say no to the dogs. And I also don't want to say no to people who are trying to do the right thing. The person that reached out to me to come down here to help them expose some animals to the world, they have a reputation of being one of the best rescue coordinators. And the fact that they reached out to try to get someone here, to try to get their dogs noticed, that tells you they're one of the best rescue coordinators. They're trying to coordinate with me just to get animals out. I hope I'm not wandering around too much, and this is all has a point to it. Everything has a cost. Questioning your supervisors at work or volunteerism. Some are really cool about it. Some see what you're doing. Others ban you from their shelter system or their branch. If I were to volunteer when I'm not taking care of myself economically, that would catch up, and that would also be a price that I would have to pay, right? If I have a family, you may love the family, but that has a price to pay. If you live alone, that has a price to pay. My film, I got a comment on one of my posts that just came out of nowhere, and it bothered me. Because it had often, and this has happened for years, I used to do this series called The Closet Singer, and somebody would watch a video and somehow they would make it about them. Or I'll post a video and someone will make it about a dog, and somehow someone will personalize it about themselves. And that happened again. It happens all the time. So every time you make a post, there's a cost. And a lot of times you have no idea what the cost is, or that you're going to have to pay a cost, or how it's impossible to know how anyone would connect that post to what they come back at you with. But I'm going to make a movie, right? Trying to make this next movie. If you haven't seen Killer, see Killer, Killher, no space. That's the last movie I made. But this next one, it's a social impact thriller. It's gonna push some buttons. It's gonna move the needle, and it's gonna rock a lot of boats. And so that's a little scary, knowing there's gonna be a cost, a big cost, when I can get that movie made. Again, I have to raise money. Please go to the link tree. Check out the project. If you can donate, great, donate. That'd be awesome. $5 makes a difference. $50,000 makes a bit more of a difference. But we will make it, but there will be a cost, not only to making the movie, time, emotion, all that stuff, but there will be a cost of pushback and upsetting people. But I think that's where change happens. You can't be a spark plug and not create a reaction. Otherwise, you're not really an effective spark plug. You can't be an agent of change and not change anything. And whenever you're an agent of change, you're going to upset people who are, I hate to use a word that's used politically, conservatives, right? The Revolutionary War, there were people who were against the idea of uprising in the colonies. Right? No matter what you do, there are going to be people against you. If you change the color of the t-shirts that your company uses, you're going to upset somebody. Anyway, just know everything has a cost, and be willing to pay. Because if you're too sensitive to help at a shelter, there's a cost to that. And the cost is not helping the animals at the shelter. But you can pay it different, right? You can network, you can speak at city council meetings, that's a cost. You speak at a city council meeting, sometimes that comes back to bite you somehow. You might not know right away, but it might. But you have to be willing to pay that cost. And know ahead that there might be something that you had no idea would come your way by something you did that you thought was honorable or beneficial or would create a discussion that would influence positive change. And I'll leave you with this. I think I'm going to leave you with this anyway. Andy Kaufman. I didn't quite understand when he first bust on the scene. I didn't quite get it all. And honestly, to this day, I don't get it all. But he was so provocative. And I don't know why he did it or what he got from it. Or if he would have done all that without the fame and fortune that he achieved. But I have to wonder what he felt when he got pushback or somebody personalized something he made. If he just shook it off or it cut him deep. I don't know. The truth is, I don't know all that much about someone I've never met. But I remember hearing something about him that he was continuing to work as a dishwasher when he was already considered successful. I don't know. That's it. Good morning, everyone, and thanks again for the coffee. I'll do my best today and look out for the posts about the Coranda beds and to meet some of the dogs from Downey today. Bye.